Coming up, parts of a temple in Egypt have been freshly unearthed, shocking evidence of the aftermath of the events that resulted in Hanukkah, a treasure trove of Greek pottery from the south of France of all places, a fascinating Roman find, and the oldest English coin ever found in Canada. Hello and welcome to Really Old News, covering major archaeological discoveries made between last Sunday and this Sunday. Our first story arrives to us from Egypt. The site of ancient Heliopolis, the cult center of the sun god Ra and the creator god Atum, which is now under Mataria in Cairo, has yielded attestations of the attention paid to it by some of dynastic Egypt's most significant pharaohs. Excavations conducted by a joint Egyptian-German team, the Egyptians being under Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities and the Germans being under the University of Leipzig, have unearthed reliefs, inscriptions, architectural elements, and statue fragments from this incredibly significant temple complex in the vicinity of the still-standing obelisk of Senusret I. To be more specific, quartzite statues of Ramses II were unearthed, a fragment of an obelisk built by Osorkon I, the founder of the Libyan 22nd dynasty, and a sanctuary dedicated to Shu and Tefnut, the two offspring of a tomb was erected by Psamtik II of the 26th dynasty. Nectanebo I also made an addition to the temple, but following his death, work came to an abrupt stop. Betting this is because his successor, Takos, was immediately usurped by Nectanebo II, who himself had to crush a major rebellion close to Heliopolis in the Nile Delta. It's a pretty bizarre story, and I've actually already made a video on it in collaboration with the channel Eastern Roman History, who will likely release it soon. In addition, a jasper inlay from around 1300 BC, so right after King Tut died, was found, and a life-size statue of Seti II made of rose granite, as well as Ptolemaic workshops which offered up relief models, amulets, and eushaptes. This is the 18th excavation season conducted by the Leipzig University at Heliopolis. It was led by Dr. Dietrich Rau, curator of the George Steindorf Egyptian Museum, and the portion from the Ministry of Antiquities was led by Dr. Enan Ashmawi. Up next, 3 finds from classical antiquity sprinkled across the Mediterranean. But if you want to see more of the only weekly archaeology news series on YouTube, make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. In addition, I just started a channel on the fascinating histories behind everyday objects you take for granted. I'm sure you'll like it if you're watching this video, so check it out, the link will be in the description. Anyways, in Marseille, France, 3 pits filled with ancient Greek pottery dating to the late 4th century BC have just been unearthed as part of a salvage dig spurred by an office building being renovated. One pit was filled with refuse, likely from a nearby potter's workshop. Another held stacks of amphorae, and the third one was damaged by modern construction work, unfortunately. Although most of the pottery unearthed belongs to locally made types, pottery sherds originating from all over the Mediterranean were also discovered. They include Gallic, Attic, and even Phoenician pottery. Marseille, which started life as the ancient Greek city of Massalia, was an important trading hub, which is of course further testified by the pottery found here. But in addition, the fact that maker's marks in Greek that were never known of before were found on this very same pottery testifies to the existence of individuals living in the south of France oh so many generations ago who would have otherwise been completely unknown to us. Maybe in 2,500 years from now, the only thing testifying to my existence will be a crappy pot I made in 4th grade art class. Who knows? The second excavation season at the remains of a Seleucid fortress that had been put to the torch in the Shephelah region of south-central Israel have yielded truly fascinating finds. The remnants of charred timber beams that once held up its roof is what revealed the fort's fate, and additionally it did give up some ceramics, animal bones, and metal objects, including a fragment of a sword and coins dating to the late 2nd century BC. The fort was square, each side being 50 feet long. The fortress also stood on a hill, looming over the city of Maresha nearby. But more importantly, who's defending it and who burnt it down? Well, it would have been situated within the kingdom of Idumea, also known as Edom, a small, independent, Hellenized state allied with the Seleucid Empire, which encompassed most of the Middle East at the time and was run by descendants of Seleucus, one of Alexander the Great's officers. Anyways, the destruction of this fort occurred soon after the events that are commemorated by the Jewish holiday Hanukkah, in which the Maccabees ousted Seleucid forces from Judea, which attempted to prohibit practicing Judaism. They established their own independent kingdom, and later on, John Hyrcanus, leader of the Judeans, set out to expand his newly independent state by annexing Idumea, and that's what this fortress was likely meant to repel. Although unfortunately for them, they failed to do so. When the small number of defenders saw the incoming Judean army, they probably fled to the nearby city of Maresha to warn its inhabitants, and that's why no human remains or evidence of battle have been located at the fort, which was probably burnt up without resistance. Our third classical discovery from this week comes from the city of Izmir in Turkey, which was Smyrna in antiquity. Two beautiful mosaics and two fluted columns with plinths were found 10 meters below ground in the garden of a residence in close proximity to the ruins of the city's ancient agora or marketplace. 3 people were caught trying to extract antiquities out of a tunnel dug into the garden, including the property's owner and 2 of his tenants. Now, the article claims they date to around the foundation of Rome, but given that the Roman Republic didn't conquer Asia Minor until centuries later, I highly suspect they're much later in date. In other news, the oldest English coin to have been discovered in Canada has just been discovered at Cupid's Cove National Historic Site in eastern Newfoundland. Given that I love coins and am a proud Canadian, I just couldn't leave this story out. Cupid's Cove National Historic Site was where a settlement was established by an Englishman named John Guy in 1610. It was uncovered pretty recently in 1995 by William Gilbert, an archaeologist who still supervises the excavations there to this day, so good on him. The coin is a silver half-groat worth 2 pennies, which was minted at Canterbury sometime between 1493 and 99 during the reign of King Henry VII, whose portrait stares back at you on the coin's obverse. It was discovered at the site of the settlement's bastion, where an Elizabethan coin minted in either 1560 or 1561 was found back in 2001. At the time, that was the oldest English coin to be found in Canada, and the articles I read on the discovery of the Henry VII coin seemed to imply that that remained the case until it was unearthed. But I know for a fact that that isn't true. In my home province, British Columbia, a coin dating to the reign of Edward VI, Henry VIII's often forgotten son, was discovered by a metal detectorist near Victoria on Vancouver Island. In addition, I also know for a fact that the Henry VII coin is not the oldest coin to have ever been dug up in Canada, because this year a beautiful Roman coin from the reign of Antoninus Pius, from the empire's height in the 2nd century AD, was found by yet another metal detectorist at a park on the grounds of the University of British Columbia. Now, I know it was probably just dropped there by a student or professor at the university while taking a stroll, but it's very tempting to think that maybe, just maybe, the Romans landed here at one point. I mean, it's just, I know it didn't happen, but it's just fun to think about. But I digress. The Henry VII half-road will likely go on display by the 2022 tourist season. Now, thank you all for watching this latest installment of Really Old News, and I hope you have a great week.